when you are.
Okay. It's 5 o'clock on the 28th of February. I'd like to call the regular February meeting of the Oregon City Public Library Board to order. The roll call is Cynthia Andrews is unfortunately down with a flu kind of symptom, so she's got an excused absence. Heidi Blackwell's here, Nick Dierkman and Larry Osborne are here via Zoom. Lisa Oreskovich is here, Bill Parton is here, Greg Williams and Denise Butcher from staff, and we're happy to welcome Alex Rains, who's the new assistant city manager. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And she's going to be our connection with the city. So Greg now reports to Alex, not directly to Tony. And we had a wonderful meeting last week, and I'm trying to meet quarterly with what was Tony, but now we'll be with Alex and Greg, and just to be sure that we're all sort of aligned on things, particularly as we approach the budget world in a year or so. So, anything you want to share?
Just that I just really wanted to come in and meet everybody, and I'm still doing a lot of meet and greets, committee meetings, meetings with different departments, tours, things like that. So still familiarizing myself with the city, but trying to get up to speed quickly, and just really wanting to, make sure that everyone knows that I'm here and available if I can be of help, and just to say hi. That's it.
Great, thank you. Right, we've got a few meetings of minutes that we need to get caught up on, and the work session on the 29th. Oh, that was in November,
It was
right?
both, yeah, back to back.
And then the meeting of August 30th and January 31st. If you've had a chance to look at the minutes, are there any additions or corrections? I think we're all caught up now. Yes, okay. Can I have a motion to accept all of those minutes, please, as recorded?
I move to approve all the listed minutes.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay. Any opposition? Okay, so moved. Great. The library.
And just a quick vote, just make sure. And we get,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I asked for any
Oh,
opposition.
all right, thank you. I just want to I was channeling my inner Jacob, so I know what he would say.
You would.
He would.
You would. Yep.
All right, thank you. Library director's report.
Okay, thank you, David. I will keep it brief today, so I gave everybody the usual stats. If there are any questions about those, I'm happy to answer them. I was not able to do a more full text report this month. I apologize for that. I do want to give a couple of verbal updates to the board on a couple of things that have been going on. The first is yesterday, the city migrated to a new phone system called Ring Central. It's a voice over IP system. The cut over the migration went really, really well. I've been involved in a few migrations in my day, and they're never any fun. So this one worked really well. The greatest benefit for the library is that it just gives us a little more operational flexibility with transferring calls around. We can do some deep things. The two biggest things are in the old phone system, we used to be co-located on the same servers with the police department. And so anytime we wanted to change an outgoing message or change call routing, the internal calculus as well, if we mess something up, it's going to take down the entire police department. So no, we're not going to do it. So now we are our very own system, so we can play all we want. The only people we're going to mess with are ourselves.
And if we get a call, will it say the library now versus public service?
Yes, so if we can do it by extension, so and we might have to dial it in a little bit over the next couple of weeks, but what we're planning to do is if you're getting a call from a service desk, it will say OC Library.
Mm-hmm.
If you're getting a call from a regular staff member, it will have their name.
Oh,
And their phone number. And I should have mentioned, in the past, library staff did not have their own phone numbers. So in order to contact Blake, for example, you had to call the library main number and then dial his 4-digit extension. Now Blake has a full phone number that he can give to people outside. And every library staff, every benefited library staff member now has a direct dial line, which is wonderful.
They have to get new cards now, does
Yes,
everybody?
we'll make new cards, and so this week, we also did make sure we had the vendor pre-program routing for our old extensions, so even if members of the public still have our old extensions out there, yeah, if they dial it, they will still get transferred to the right person, and we can keep those on as long as we want to. I think our goal is to put a little message on there that says, hey, so-and-so's new number is this, please update your records, and then maybe in 6 months or a year, we get rid of that routing. So at least that way, people will still be able to use the numbers they've grown familiar with. The other awesome thing, which if you don't work here in the library may not mean a lot, but every night we have to, in the past, we do closing announcements. So at 15 minutes before we close, 5 minutes before we close, and at closing time, we get on the PA system and say, the library's about to close, please bring your things together. People, sometimes we miss those, sometimes people are helping a customer. We have now pre-recorded them and we can schedule them so they automatically play at the right time every night. So that's been the most fabulous thing about this whole migration.
It's so easy to please.
So we're looking forward to that. If you call and you notice anything that sounds weird, feel free to let me know and get it fixed. So far, it seems to be going pretty well. The other thing, I wanted to briefly just give an update on what I had heard back in very general terms from Tony about the discussions on the IGA amendment. If there's anything you wish to add, feel free. There is no, IGA amendment. I don't have any text or anything to share with you. I think that the tenor of the discussion from what Tony relayed to me was, some different opinions and different thoughts from the city managers. None of them were, you shouldn't be able to do this with the money. I don't think there was, that wasn't a concern. I think more of the concern was, why is this something the cities are being asked to fix when maybe it belongs to the county to actually make the adjustments to the master order on their side? And so I think that was kind of the main feedback. I expect at some point, my understanding is the county took all that feedback from the various city managers. They're going to go back. They're going to craft some suggested IGA amendment language. And at that point, they can have it. We'll, of course, bring it here to this group for you guys to review. Your thoughts on? Did you have anything else?
Only that it seemed like the initial discussion, it was only going to make the language a little bit more vague. It didn't really seem, honestly, based on what Tony relayed, you might as well just leave it the way it is and just keep doing what you're doing.
Oh, they were interested in doing the capital statement, that the funds could be used for.
Well, yeah, they were not going to, it was basically just going to be more vague as to how you use it. And I said, well, might as well just leave it and keep doing it.
Sure, right?
Yeah. So
Yes, it's a big,
it's a bit odd.
yes.
Yeah.
It's a lot of effort to make an IGA change that has to go to every city, and it's not going to actually accomplish anything. Yeah, I concur.
Yeah.
Yes.
And just that little piece of when the commissioners discussed it, the county commissioners, it sounded like they didn't want anything to do with the funds. They felt like it should be more, locally controlled. So it would be interesting that they wouldn't just.
I guess the question would just be, wouldn't anyone actually challenge us?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's always.
Since I've been on LDAC, it's been constant that topic comes up, and I think I'm into my 7th year now. But it's been the whole time. That's been probably the biggest issue with LDAC, and I was actually hoping it would be very definitive so that we wouldn't have to continue to discuss it at LDAC, but. We'll see how it goes.
Yep, we'll see. I can always hold out hope that we get a very strong idea amendment. But yeah, I am, like Nick said, one of my biggest concerns is this just takes up all the oxygen when it comes to discussion about the future of the library district. So I just want something that's going to give us some finality so that we can just start moving forward. See what happens. All right, I think those are the two main things that I wanted to provide as favorable updates.
Any questions about statistics or? I have one, is there a technical reason that the in count and the out count for the traffic? Because you're accumulating 100
Yes.
or 200 people a
Yes.
night that are going to fill
That's
the building
Yeah.
someday.
So,
We're busing them to Texas.
Okay.
Do people chat with each other or something?
I will say, let's come up and when we get to that part, I'll a little more say. The vendor is very clear with this when they sell the systems that they guarantee a 97% accuracy rate. And so over the last calendar year, that data I looked at, it was about a 1.5% difference. So the hardware and software itself is accurate to within 98.5. Over the course of 150,000 people coming in and out, that's where you get just discrepancy.
I thought it was odd. It was skewed for being higher.
And it always is going to be. And it could be something like, we have these badges that we were, if I've never mentioned it, the reason that we have this barcode on here is this makes staff invisible to people counter. So as we're going in and out, we're not inflating those numbers. But, another reason for the counts to be off, it could be something like if the UPS driver comes in, if they come in through the main entrance and then they leave down through the basement where we don't have a people counter, it would count it in, but it might not count it out. But those are that's not the usual traffic. The usual traffic is people coming in and going out one of our entrances, our main patron entrances. So lots of little things that have those discrepancies.
Anything else?
Just based on the notes, it talked about the data committee from that, and I was just curious if they were meeting or if there was a report on that.
We met once.
Okay.
I can prepare a report for next time. I would love. We will get that data committee back together again, just since January.
I want to take work off from your plate, Greg. There's people interested in looking through the data.
Yes. So basically, the data committee. I got some great feedback on what kind of data would be more useful to present to the library board. I've done some investigation on some tools that we have access to that can help prepare that data. I'm also working with the county on getting access to their GIS data because that was some of the requests. So there's some homework on my plate to kind of, say, this is what's possible. This is what might be a little more different. But thank you. I appreciate the thought of taking things off.
Yes.
Anything else? No? Okay. Well, we had a request for public comment, or at least public participation from a gentleman, but that person has not shown. So I guess there's no other public comment then?
No.
Okay, great. The discussion item today has to do with foot traffic and looking at the hours of operation. And Greg, you want to give us?
Yes.
I think you've got a.
Yeah, so hopefully I'm going to put these on the screen for the benefit of the Zoom folks. All right, thank you, David. As we all know, as part of the monthly stats, since we've got our new people counters, I've been trying to include our heat maps monthly. This kind of shows the counts of people coming in and out. We got these 6 or 7 months into COVID, I think. So COVID times it's hard to draw good conclusions from that data. But now we've been reopened for a good long while, and traffic's pretty much back to normal, the pattern that we'd expect. We've had kind of verbal discussions about what that data might mean. So I took the opportunity to pull a full year's worth of data. And so in your packet, you had basically 3 charts. You had the ins, the people coming in, broken down by day of week and half-hour increments. So trying to label those. Those are also color-coded so that the larger values are towards the red end of the spectrum and the lower values towards the green end of the spectrum. I did both for these first 2 charts. I did both the raw counts over the course of the year. So calendar year, we had 155,000 people coming into the building. Of all those people on Mondays between 10 and 10:30, there were 1,727, which represents 1.11% of our total traffic. That's how we read these charts. The second one is the same for outs. So as we would expect, not a lot of people leaving right away. We get lots of people coming in, first thing, and they stay for a little while, and then, right here they start to leave. But you can see the same thing. Green means fewer people leaving during that period. Red or orange means more people leaving that period. And then I also prepared this. This chart is done by 15-minute intervals. And what it's trying to do is count the number of people who come in add the number of people who came in the next 15-minute interval and subtract out the people who left. So it's trying to get kind of a running tally of, at least at that point in time, approximately how many people might have been in the building. I can tell you from anecdotal experience, these are a little low because it's a point in time, right? And 5 seconds later, you might have a family of 6 coming in, or people leaving. But I think this was useful. It supports that other data that here's kind of the busy times of the day, and then we do see this decline at the end of the day. So I wanted to share this information with you. And we've had some informal talks. The reason I wanted to talk about this was when I look at this, this jives with our anecdotal experience, is that especially as we get towards the last half hour of the day, we are not busy. And we are expending resources, public resources, to staff a building when we don't have a lot of people. I especially look at these first 2 hours Sundays when we're not open, and looking at what we see every other day of the week for the first 2 hours of the day, we are used 4 times as much as we are in the last half hour of the day. So when I look at this data, my mind goes to, in order to use the resources that we have available to us in the most effective way possible and serve the broadest number of people in the community that we can, does it make sense to reallocate, give you our hours and reallocate some of the resources that are dedicated to this very low traffic, low usage period of time in order to expand our hours on Sunday, when we would most likely see a lot more people coming in and potentially get a more return on our investment for staff resources.
So if you were making a recommendation to the board, what would it be specifically?
And looking at the data and talking with staff, my recommendation would be that Monday through Friday, we close at 6:30 instead of saying open until 7 o'clock. That would take 2.5 hours out of our weekly schedule. We would take 2 of those hours and put them back on Sunday. We would open Sunday at 10 o'clock instead of opening Sunday at 12. And so that would give us an operating schedule of Monday through Friday, 10 to 6:30, Saturday, 10 to 6, and Sunday, 10 to 5. And I would love to get to the point where we could say we're open the same hours every day, but at least this way we could say, hey, we open every day at 10 o'clock. And so there are other times a day, we have a little variation in the closing time, but that would be I'm trying not to make at this point, not make a huge recommendation, but that's what the data says to me. And so that's what I wanted to bring to this group. And as I think, I'm a strong believer in using the data, to help inform the decisions that we make, the services that we offer, and really the expenditure of the resources that we've been entrusted with by the community. And that's what, to me, makes a lot of sense. So I wanted to get your thoughts on that. Is using data a good way of going about this? Do those recommendations resonates? And if not, why? And then if we decided this is something we'd be interested in, kind of what next steps are going to be.
I would be curious what people are doing that last half hour, like how they're utilizing the library resources. Just because if there is a need that there's a space or computers or something, that I would hate to not provide that for those individuals, which I know is not utilizing the resources to meet everyone's needs, but for those specific people, seems like there's not programming, so I can see why there's not a huge number of people at that time that kind of take care of stuff. If people are returning books, maybe the lockers could be a way. I would be kind of curious to see what people are doing during that half an hour. And that could be anecdotal,
Anecdotal we have. So anecdotally, they're sitting at the tables.
On a similar note,
reading or studying. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so we can see Nick and
on a similar note, I'd be interested to know what people are actually using at that last half hour, because in addition to what they're doing, there may be a class of people, office workers or whatever, who can't get here earlier, who need that half hour, or alternately students who have a report due the next morning, I guess, who fit in there too. But do we have any idea of who it is that's using it The same demographics as the rest of the day or different?
Anecdotally, no, it's a different demographic, and Denise hop in and let me know what I see. We haven't gone. We don't typically go up to people and ask them, "Hey, what are you doing?" And then give us your demographic, background. So it's more observational, anecdotal. We do have some houseless patrons who use the library as a place to be, and I think they're here because we're open until 7:00. We do get some folks studying. It's mostly quiet study and sitting at tables. We don't get a lot of, especially that last half hour of the day. You might get some people coming in to quickly grab a hold, but that happens much more frequently, during the course of the day, and about 6:30. Between 6:30 and 7,
It's mostly people that have been here for a long period of time that just haven't left yet.
yeah. And
Anecdotal is good.
Yeah. That's what we see anecdotal. Every so often, if we have a program, but all large numbers, that all comes out in the wash. So a lot of it, it's just people who have been here for a while.
Would there be any trouble with staffing the Sunday morning versus the evening time?
There's always trouble staffing.
Sure, I know. But the Sunday, there's a reason why I'm guessing why it's not open on Sunday morning because of availability or.
No, it does not have to do with staffing.
So I was just wanted to make sure that we're creating something that was going to then be another obstacle.
I think staffing will be okay, especially with the new positions that we were able to get in the budget. That does give us a little more staffing on Sunday. More. The one operational thing that we'll have to be conscious of, especially when it comes to staff workload, is it is nice to have time in the week where you have people at work, but the building isn't necessarily open to the public. It's easier to do some projects and things that are more difficult to do when you have lots of people in the building. So we would be losing that, but I think we could, we would work with our teams to kind of make sure that they're still getting some opportunities to have some quiet time, some project time, and make sure that we're not dropping the ball on any of those things. Do you have any other?
No, I just know from sitting, generally when I'm here that late, I'm sitting at the lobby desk and I'm pretty much alone. There's not much going on, so.
Well, my suggestion, and I think it's a good idea to reduce that evening hour and to replace it on Sunday morning, because it looks like Sunday morning people are going to use it. But I think we ought to post on all the doors and, post the notice that we plan to do this in a month's time. And if this is a burden, please come and let us know what your issues are, or something like that, to be able to get any feedback at all that might be something that we're just not aware of.
We can certainly do that. I guess my question would be on the feedback. Do we want it more of, we would, of course, we give plenty of notice to the community if we were going to do this, let's say this little update. When the feedback comes in, we want to make sure that we respond to the feedback. Is this, if it's more anecdotal, or not anecdotal, if it's more informal feedback, just let us know.
Yeah.
We're not about a survey or anything.
No, certainly. I just thought that there may be something out there, man, like your point. We don't quite know who these folks are really. And, there may be something that we're just not aware of.
I think this could mitigate it somehow. If they're literally just coming to get books, if there's, some way, it could be a long-term plan, but that we're thinking about how they can, get the books, or they had a printout that they needed to pick out, or pick up some forms that are available here in the library. Like if there's no other location that the city has that's open, I guess maybe then other than the police station, the safety building, but not everybody's going to be comfortable going to the safety building to get tax forms.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with what David was saying about the doing the switch between the extra half hour and Sunday. And I think his suggestion is good to see if we can see what kind of issues are going to come up. I guess at this point, are you looking for us to approve the concept and you'll do more? I mean, I'd like to, since this is going to be so public, it'd be great to have sort of what your communication plan will be to the public, that type of thing, so that we would have a feel for it before it's actually, the process is going through. That makes sense.
Yes, so yeah, if you're on board with kind of that concept, then yes, I would put together a plan. I would come back to our next meeting, discuss it with everybody, make sure that we're all on the same page about how we go forward. There's still going to be, talk to Alex and talk to Tony. I think we're all philosophically okay
Yeah,
with
I mean,
this.
we've discussed it, and
Yeah.
it makes sense, thinking, I don't think so.
And I do want to make sure this, this might be something I'll talk to Dave about. I want to make sure the commission
Yes,
is.
I would agree.
And,
That's kind of what
yes, and that doesn't come as a surprise to them. It's all rely on Tony and Alex to kind of help me figure out the best way to do that. But yeah, that'll be part of our plan. So I'm happy to bring that forward next month. I just didn't want to start going down a path that folks weren't comfortable with or had real strong issues, I guess.
No strong issues. I'm curious without pulling up the app, how do we compare to our cohort cities?
For the hours,
Yeah.
I can certainly do it. We are at the top end of weekly hours. We're 58, I think. Honestly, I only know, I know Milwaukee's 63, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like a couple of days a week, they're open to 9, which doesn't make any sense to me. But I can certainly bring that to the group, what the hours are. And I know different communities have different needs.
Yeah, and I probably wouldn't sway a decision. I'm just curious.
Yeah, I think,
That's a good point.
yeah, there are some like Canby recently changed their hours to go a little later, but again, they're not open on Sundays. So, we have things. And then the other thing I wanted to mention, yes, the catching people coming home from work, that is something that we thought a lot about. I will say, we probably had some feedback. Hey, we close at 6 because we're really not that busy. I felt strongly that, for people who get off work at 5 or 5:30, being open at 6 is not lit. So I want to keep open until at least 6:30. One of the things I think will help mitigate longer term is the book lockers, right? That provides people access 24/7 access to held materials.
That's my use case. I spend more time browsing the inventory for the county and then ordering holds. And I just whip in to pick up a hold.
Yeah.
When I had a 9 to 5 job, that was tougher.
Yeah.
Or, engineering jobs were like 9 to 9, so I could never get it.
We would never make any.
Okay, well, why don't we just plan to sort of bless an action at the next meeting?
So it sounds the concept of taking those hours from Monday through Friday, putting them on Sunday morning, that is something that everybody feels good about and support.
Yes.
Great, and then we'll put together some more information. The things I heard were, we want to make sure that we have some mechanism to get feedback from the community on what the impact of this might be, especially for impacts that we hadn't anticipated.
Sure.
And more important, to figure out ways to mitigate that, to make sure that we're taking that information into account, doing what we can initially to mitigate it, and then also incorporate that into long-term plans. But okay.
Thank you.
And I will say, with everything like this, there are going to be people who complain, it's impossible to keep everybody happy. So I just wanted to make sure.
We are aware that
In local government, sometimes the tendency can be to give a lot of weight to the one or two negative voices. And I just want to make sure, since we're trying to be very data driven, that I want to make sure that we balance any of that with, hey, we've got really good data. This is why we collected all this data, and why we do this is to make sure that we're being really responsible.
And they're welcome to come give public comment.
Yeah.
I'm sure you share with
Right.
us so that we have their official word on their issues.
Okay, good, thank you.
Okay.
Communications. So LDAC, anything, has LDAC met?
No. And the only thing I can say is no meetings are scheduled at this point. And basically what Greg basically gave the report about where things are right now.
Right, okay. And Greg, you want to speak to the foundation since Cynthia's not here? Is there anything that you're?
Yes, and if I'm repeating what we talked about last time, please just shut me up. The foundation, they had a new election, so Cynthia is the chair, Karen Martini is the vice chair, and I thought it was great. Cynthia and Karen said what they really want to do, the first thing they want to do with their new chair, vice chair, is they want to have a strategic visioning session for the foundation so that the foundation can talk, really get into why are we here and what's important to us, and how do we want to support to the library to look long term. So I think that's a great idea. I'm still counting on them helping with our book lockers and our people. So I think that will make it in there. But I'm excited about, honestly, I'm really excited about maybe talking about, hey, maybe we strive for an endowment, and then we start working on planned giving so that it's another sustainable funding source for the library that can help us improve our services.
Absolutely, great. Okay, Oz, friends?
Yeah, they are in the process of redoing their donation books guideline, and they're finding that they need to clarify some issues that otherwise would be obvious, like what they will do if people drop off moldy old books, and that is not currently specified. A related issue is exactly the opposite. They're developing guidelines for what to do with rare and expensive books that may be donated. So those two things are undecided but under discussion.
Great, thank you.
And if I may add one thing, I did want to give kudos to Barrett. Barrett recently attended a management meeting of the store there, and they were very keen on getting some advice on how to better market, to better organize and market their children's materials. So Barrett gave them some ideas, and I got lots of great feedback from the friends. They were just so grateful to have her come over and share her expertise and time. So just want to give kudos to Barrett.
Good.
My son dug through the comics box because he was sure he was going to find $1 million comic. He did not.
It can happen because
He was he was 100% sure he was going to buy it, except for that because the people didn't know they just put them in these boxes. Yeah, nothing.
Tell me it's got to go back every day.
I picked up a couple $30 or $40 CDs when I've been there for so
There you go.
makes me very
Well, it's a great store. I think it's the best bookstore around.
It was one year. It was voted the best.
Is it? Yeah, great. Okay, Lisa, for the team group?
Yeah, so I was able to attend their last meeting and introduce myself as the new liaison to what is a great group of teams. So it was pretty exciting. They discussed holding a team game night during spring break, and after much deliberation, they're going to go with a variety of board games. And then they also discussed the remodel of the teen area. And so they decided to prioritize what elements they want to do for the teen area. And they were pretty strategic, decided to order chairs first because they know that can take a while. And then they'll work on the design of the vertical garden while they await those chairs to arrive. And for the vertical garden, they decided to use repurposed wood from the construction of the library addition, which I thought was a really great idea. It'll look great as the base for their vertical garden. And then they're going to use live plants and planter boxes along the walls. And then they'd like to use the front of the office window and incorporate that into the design as well in some fashion. Lastly, they are hoping to work with a local artist that can then make a piece for them that will either go across the top or the bottom of the vertical garden wall. And lastly, the last item was a tech music playlist. So that's what they're going to discuss more at their next meeting, coming up with a playlist that they can share on social media to the public, as well as listen to while they do teen events and projects. Yeah.
Great, well done.
It just reminded me, is the Archbridge mural, is that its home? Or
I think yes. So the Grand Ron still has, the offer is still open for the Grand Ron to take it and display it for a few months should they want to, but they have not taken a trieste on that offer, and I think they've got other things. But from what Trieste told me, that the contract that everybody signed on that says that the final home of that is the Oregon City Library.
Oh,
So yes, we're
well, it's
planning.
lovely down there.
Yeah, we're so happy to have it permanently. So
Yeah.
it was, yeah, and we get so many great comments on it. It's planning to be there forever.
Okay, I have a couple of announcements. One, I'll be giving with Greg the report to the commission in a couple of weeks
Yes.
time. There's an annual presentation that we do to the commission, and that's always well received. So that's going to happen. I'll let you know what it is if you feel like moved to come to a commission meeting. Indeed.
Maybe Alex was changing them up a little bit.
The other thing is,
Well, hey, that now all the department heads will have to go, have something on the agenda.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's very positive. Thanks.
I slap you.
well, the only other issue is I had a moment of clarity and lucidity, I think, a couple of nights ago, and sent Greg a late night email. It occurred to me that the biggest development in the city, in Oregon City, in terms of population is about to be completed. And that's that Maple Lane, Beaver Creek apartment complex with 300 units, maybe, something like that.
170.
170 units, okay. Yeah, and I know some are dedicated to low income housing, and Tony wasn't sure quite how many, but more than that. But that seems to me an opportunity for us to do some substantial outreach to get those new residents to Oregon City to get library cards. And so we're going to try to work with the leasing agents to be able to facilitate that, so that yeah,
Really good idea.
The buildings or the development is Los Flores or Las Flores.
Los Flores.
Mhm.
Okay. So yeah, because I mean, this will be the largest single influx in a period of time. And so that was the only other item. Any future agenda items?
I hate to bring this up, but is there any way we could shorten the minutes?
Oh.
Like just highlight the major decisions, or just, I mean, they're so lengthy.
There's certainly, so I would say that if there is unanimity from the library board on how the minutes are transmitted, as long as we are Oregon law, yeah, they can be pretty short for public meetings law. But that meets your needs, absolutely.
Like with the school district, right? We
I
just.
mean, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I
I
don't
mean,
think the minutes.
we have the recording. We have the recording, so minutes,
Exactly.
if the minutes are substantial enough to highlight what the discussions were, then we could go to the recording. And so it to me, just I kind of go through them, but it's like I don't really need that level of detail.
Yeah.
Have the discussion, you have to have the who moved and.
Yes.
Yeah, any action certainly have to be documented, but I agree there.
I think in the past, they were more lengthy. They weren't always recorded and available, and that way anyone could read them and get a sense of what went on in the discussion.
How are they generated? I thought you did them. There was.
There's another staff member who helps me do them. I used to do them.
Yeah.
Plus, we're gonna stay on top of it so that it's just
Yes.
one.
There you go.
That would be great. So yeah, public meetings law says you have to capture the substance of the topics discussed and the records of any official motion. So we can make it a one page or
Great.
the county, the C4 group of the county does a great job of very concise, informative minutes. So I will plan to emulate those. Nicely done. Okay, and that's everybody's yes. Everybody's on board with that. Okay.
Anything else for the good of the order? This is the shortest meeting I've had in my term.
Alex, you're gonna come to every meeting.
Right.
Do you have any questions for us, Alex?
Yeah.
Honestly, do you have anything that we could share with you or any?
I don't think at this point,
Okay.
I'm still kind of, I
Sure.
might later, I'm sure, but yeah.
Great. All right. Well, then the meeting is adjourned at 5:40. Amazing.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great evening.
See you all next month.
Yep. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Great, thanks all.